It's Wednesday, November 15th. Today's title, Sin or Obedience. Paul comes back to the point again that the new life of faith does not grant liberty to sin. The life of faith makes possible victory over sin. In fact, only through faith can we have the victory that is promised to us. Having personified sin as king ruler over his subjects, Paul now returns to the figure of sin as a master demanding obedience of his servants. Paul points out that a person has a choice of masters. He can serve sin, which leads to death, or he can serve righteousness, which leads to eternal life. Paul doesn't leave any middle ground or any room for compromise. It's one or the other, because in the end, we face either eternal life or eternal death. Notice how, interestingly enough, obedience is linked to correct doctrine. The Greek word for doctrine here means teaching. The Roman Christians had been taught the principles of the Christian faith, which they now obeyed. Thus, for Paul, correct doctrine, correct teaching, when obeyed from the heart, assisted in the Romans becoming servants of righteousness. And we can see this in Romans chapter 6, verse 18. We sometimes hear that doctrine does not matter, just as long as we show love. That's a very simplistic expression of something that's not so simple. As stated in the earlier lesson, Paul was very concerned about the false doctrine to which the Galatians church had succumbed. Thus, we need to be careful about the statements that somehow diminish the importance of correct teachings. Servants of sin, servants of righteousness, the contrast is very stark. If after baptism we sin, does this mean that we are not truly saved? Read 1 John chapter 1 verse 8 to chapter 2 verse 1. How does this passage help to understand what it means to a follower of Christ and yet still be subject to falling? Thank you for joining us today, and please hit the like button and continue to subscribe. And happy birthday, Valen, and God bless you guys.